Good afternoon, class. So today we are going to continue the chapter number 8. So that is the design for fabric and apparel. So we have completed the so quickly recapitulate what we have read in this whole chapter from the first. So we have known that what is design, what is design analysis, what are the structural designs, as well as the design which consists of the two factors, that are the elements as well as the principles of the designs. So among the elements of the design, we have completed the first element, that is the color, and rest of the these elements of the design are texture, line, shape or form, and the principles are also there. Those are the harmony, balance, rhythm, proportion and emphasis. So today we are going to start with this second second element, that is the texture. Now what is this texture? I mean, you can see here that texture is the sensory impression of sight and touch and refers to the tactile and visual qualities of the material. So each material has a distinctive texture, whether textile or otherwise. So texture can be described in the terms of, so texture here it is written that the texture which can be described or it can be defined by focusing on these 3 points, that is how it looks, how it behaves and as well as how it feels. So among this, how it looks, you can see that it should be shiny, dull or opaque or dense or transparent, translucent or glossy. So these are the characteristics with the help of which the texture is meant, that how it looks. Now the second one is how it behaves. So the texture, it also describes that how it behaves, like hangs, sometimes hangs some fabric or some garments, it hangs limps, stiffs or stitching out, clinging, flowing out. These are the different textures, I mean, which hangs out from the garment or fabric. Now how it feels: soft, crisp, harsh, smooth, rough, coarse, grainy, pearly. So these are the different ways in which a fabric is felt. So when you will touch or when you will try to feel the fabric, then you can feel this kind of feelings, like the garment, it can be soft, it can be crisp or it can be harsh. So these are the different characteristics. So now as you can see here that the texture, the factors which determine the texture in textile materials can be described into some with the help of some definitions which are given here. The first one is fiber content. So the fiber type, that is whether it is natural or man-made or artificial, it is also described like this. I mean, the fiber content in a fabric, what kind of a fiber is used. So that is that we can find with the help of the getting the fiber, which kind of fiber is used, whether it is man-made or it is natural. Now its length, fineness and its surface characteristics. Now what is the length of the fiber, how long it is, or how fineness is the fiber, or its surface characteristics, various surface characteristics are there. So these are the different points of this one, fiber content. Now the second one is yarn processing and yarn type. So method of processing, twist inserted during processing, fineness of the yarn and yarn type, whether it is simple, complex, novelty or texture. So these are the different yarn processing or yarn types. Now the fabric construction techniques. So there are several this fabric construction techniques, like the weaving, type of weave and its compactness. Now knitting, felting, braiding, lace making. So these are the different fabric construction techniques. Now the fourth one, it is said that fabric finishes. Fabric finishes, you all know that the whole garment when it is made, or the fabric when it is made, so there are some stitches which lays outside. So now those are the finishings are to be done on the garment to make it proper, to give a proper look and to make it complete and ready to sell. So for that thing, stiffing, that is starching, sizing or gumming, ironing, calendaring, tendering, mapping, fulling. These things are needed. Now the last one is surface ornamentation. So tufting, flock printing, embroidery and stitch effects, these are the different surface ornamentation which are applied to the garment. Now next we will see the main purpose of the texture. The main purpose of the texture is in design, dress design, is to create interest, to enhance the desirable features of the person. So now the texture used should be a pleasing, should be having a pleasant relationship to each other to achieve harmony. In dress, the texture used should be appropriate to figure, personal characteristics, silhouette or the form of the costumes and occasion. So the textures are given according to these factors, like the occasion, for occasional purposes, and also for the different textures and appropriate figures. Also depends what kind of textures will be there in a particular dress. So these are basically the features or the purpose of the texture in a dress design. Coming on to the next element is the line. So what is line? Line is defined as a mark that connects 2 points. It has a beginning and an end. So it can also be formed as the outline of an object, shape or form. Line is used to define the shape or different parts of a silhouette of a design. So as an element of design, it indicates the shape of things, provides movements and determines direction. Line and shape are two elements which together create the pattern or plan of every design. Every decorative details on all articles we see or use is a combination of lines and shapes. So lines are basically, there are in our when a garment is made, and when it suppose it will be dyed or some kind of textures will be given to it. So first of all, two lines are made in that. So the lines, it can be like crisscross or it can be straight lines. These lines are given in that garment, and then the stitches or whatever the designs are to be done. So now as an element of design, it indicates the shape of things, provides movement, determines direction. So with the help of the these lines, different designs are also put in a garment, or different kinds of articles or any kind of textures are also given to that. So types of lines. So there are different types of lines. There are two basic types of line, that is the straight line and the curved lines. Straight lines is a rigid unbroken line. Straight lines create different effects depending on their direction. They are also expressed. They can also express mood. So what are the different straight lines? Number one is the vertical lines, which stress up and down, stress upward and downward movement. So emphasize height and give the effect that is severe, dignified and reserved. So vertical lines, from vertical word you can see that it is the up and down movement. So the lines which are given on a garment is upward to downward as well as from downward to upward. So it emphasizes the height and give the effect that is severe. So now the second one is the horizontal lines, which stress side to side movement and create an illusion of width. So it creates a width kind of cylindrical movement which creates which is been done in the garment to make it kind of an illusion effect. So since they repeat the ground line, they give a stable and placid effect. So the third one is the oblique or diagonal lines. So oblique or diagonal lines, you can see that it is the lines are made diagonally from one point to the other, from a vertex. Okay. So oblique or diagonal lines increases or decreases width and height depending on the degree and direction of angle. So they can create an active, startling and dramatic effect. So these are the basic types of the straight lines. So let's see that what is curved lines and what are the types of these curved lines. Now the curved lines. So what are these curved lines? The curved line is one with any degree of roundness. The curved lines can be a simple arc or a complicated freehand curve. The degree of roundness determines the curve. A slight degree of roundness is called a restrained curve. A greater degree of roundness gives a circular curve. So certain objects are associated with these curves and names such as, for example, parabola, scroll, meander, hairpin, whiplash or serpentine. So these are the different names which are given. So now these are of these long and flowing curved lines appear most graceful and rhythmic. So large round curves lend a dramatic touch and tend to exaggerate size. So tiny puffy curves are youthful and gay. So these are the different types of curves which are seen, which can be curved, which can be applied in the particular garment. So line expresses visual meaning, that is straight lines indicate force, straight are rigidity, whereas the curved lines appear soft and graceful when used in a design. So basically this line is very important, which you have to remember, that the straight lines indicate the force, straight and rigidity, whereas the curved lines appear soft and graceful when used in a design. So if straight lines are more dominant, the design effect is masculine. So the straight lines which are dominant, if the straight lines are dominated, then the design effect is masculine, and curved lines give the impression of femininity and daintiness. Now coming on to the next this element, it is the shapes or forms. So what are shapes or forms? These are made by connecting the lines. So different types of lines which I have described earlier. So those lines, straight or curved, those lines are connected together to form different kinds of shapes or forms. Now shapes can be two-dimensional, as a drawing or a print on paper or fabric. So they can be three-dimensional also, as an object that can be viewed from three or more sides. So if it is visible from three sides, then it is three-dimensional, like a human body or the garment on it. Since shapes are formed by connecting lines, the characteristics of the lines used will determine the characteristics of the shape. So if only straight lines are used, the shape will be different than if only curved lines are used. By using different types of lines in different combinations, numerous varieties of the shapes can be created. So if only the straight lines are used, then a pattern will follow, then a shape will be forming. Now if the curved lines are only used, so then a particular shape or form will take place, and it can also be done with the help of this, combining the straight lines as well as the curved lines together, then also a particular design will follow. Now these shapes or forms, it can be divided into four types. Number one is the natural shapes, number two the stylish shapes, number three is the geometric shapes, number four is the abstract shapes. So what is this natural shapes? So these are those that copy nature or common shapes of man-made objects. Number two is the stylish. So what is this? These are the shapes that are simplified or modified natural shapes. They may have some part distorted or exaggerated. So since it is stylish, so some part it may be exaggerated or can be made different with the help of these lines. So now number three is the geometric. So geometric, you can easily guess from that different kinds of geometric shapes are applied in those, like the triangle or rectangle, square, cylindrical, sphere or whatever are used. And the last one is the abstract shapes. So these are free form, they do not resemble any specific object but may represent different things to different people because of the personal associations. So now this abstract means it can be of any texture, it can be of any design. So abstracts are those things. Okay, so shape and form in fabric refers to the fall or drape of the material, to the shape of ornaments and motifs, and the type of placement or repeat, that is the final pattern formation. In apparel, it represents the silhouette, cut, and the final detailing of the garment. So this is basically what is this shapes and forms. So there is also another element, which is the pattern. So what are these patterns? So patterns is formed when shapes are grouped together. So when the different shapes are grouped together, then a particular pattern is formed. So lines are made together to form a shape or form. Now when a particular shape or form when are combined with another shape or form, and this kind of patterns are then formed. So a pattern is formed when shapes are grouped together. This grouping may be all one shape or a combination of two or more types of shapes. The arrangement of these shapes can also be natural, stylish, geometric, or abstract. This is the last element of this design. We have completed the elements of the designs. So next day we are going to continue, or in the Zoom class we are going to continue with the principles of the design. What are the principles, like proportion and harmony? These are the different principles. What are the principles and what are their cause, effects, and importance, which we are going to discuss in our next class. Till then, go through these different elements. These are very important, and I think after this we will be starting with our revision chapters. Okay, so till then, go through this, and if you have any problem you can contact me. So till then, thank you.